Today I'm going to show you Gallywix. This is a hero that can, well, generate a bunch of gold in the late game. You can play with basically twice as much gold as your opponents, and that is pretty broken. I'm also going to show you how to force elementals. Whenever I play this guy, I just hard force elementals because, well, that is mainly how you get insane gold in the early mid game, tier 4 especially, and how you can outscale people with greedy scaling like Nomi or tier 5 scaling or 6 scaling. So I usually set up for elementals, like if I find a multi-rock or a party, I just buy it with this guy, and I just buy strong cards, of course. I'm not just doom rolling and wasting all my money. So right now on the board, I have double multi-rock already, which is very, very promising. No party or anything, but I'll still take some elemental stuff and take pairs, hopefully to try and like lean into it. You also see me buy a token here, and that is because Gallywix, if you buy a token, you basically get 1 gold. Now this turn, a token costs 3 gold, you sell it back for 2, so technically you lost 1 gold this turn, but because you sold 2 bodies, you gain 2 gold next turn. So if you do the math, you basically have 1 extra gold. You know, it's 1 turn delayed, but still it's worth it because right here it worked out beautifully in my turn. So don't just do it if you're board locked or if you find a token, but if you can afford to sell stuff and to still play a relatively strong board. Right now I still have 2 pairs, finding some great elemental things. And we're on tier 4. We're still relatively healthy, and this is where we stay. Usually I stay on tier 4. I hard roll for mainly Major Domo, and there is Recycling Wraith. I was also going to mention that card because both Major Domo and Recycling Wraith allow you to, first of all, roll a lot for free if you play elementals, and secondly, well, turn those elementals into buffs. So party elementals and Major Domos are the main way you put your elementals into buffs. And then of course you generate gold every turn with this Recycling Wraith, and with elementals, of course, with your hero power. Your hero power is going to help you as well. And then the third way to scale is tripling or finding Master of Realities, which is the 5-drop that basically scales whenever one of your elementals gets buffed. So it's a taunt, a 6/6. You play elementals, it gets buffed. It's amazing. So right here, the Mama Bear was super tempting to pivot because we had a Hydra in the shop. It's still relatively early. Mama Bear is good enough to get a top 4 here, but I just knew that Gallywix with elementals has so much potential. This thing that I picked, it could give us a triple, could give us a cyclone or something really good here. And yeah, from here on, I'm just rolling. We found the Domo. Great. The multi-rock is good enough to value trade multiple times already. Like, even if we're missing a lot here, we can afford to, because, well, we do have more gold than other people every turn, so we can roll more and miss more. So we have like kind of a larger gap that we need to bridge, to like, we have more room to make mistakes, I should say. And secondly, we have like a massive multi-rock, so we shouldn't be taking too much damage if people don't just open with a Spore, which, again, it's so early, people don't open with a Spore. And as you can see, my board is filled now with double party, so I can, well, put finally some more scaling into it. Every elemental gives me +2/+2 for the party if the elemental I play doesn't get buffed. The multi-rock gets +2 HP, and Domo gives you an extra buff. So elemental is even like bonus gold. Again, it's the same as a token. You gain 1 extra gold in total. So gameplay is simple. Again, if you play Galley, I would highly suggest you do this. Go to tier 4. Try to hard force elementals. If you don't find them, of course, don't just die hard forcing elementals. You know, dying is never a good idea. But stay open for other options. You could have taken a Mama Bear there. But generally speaking, this comp is just amazing. And I'll show you later as well why. Like right now, this Maligos we're facing has an super early Nomi, and they did some great scaling. They're gonna end up doing a lot of damage for us. That is kind of a spoiler, but I don't think you guys care. So we're gonna take a lot of damage from this strong early Nomi player. I will see later on how much we can outscale him, if at all, with this tempo elemental build that we're forcing. Also, I have to sell my party pair here. Generally speaking, I like keeping pairs on the board because, again, we need Master for Reality still, which is the taunt on tier 5, which just scales so incredibly well with this board. Especially party elemental pair is really great because, again, it translates more into buffs. We now have only 1 party, so we have less buffs. I could have considered selling the Wildfire here instead of party, but I felt like I needed the tempo, and I was correct. I would have taken a lot of damage if I sold the Wildfire here for this fight. So as you see, we're now 20 HP, we're still kind of fine. We can't face the ghost though. And I did end up leveling because we have so much money, right? Like if you look at the bottom, we leveled and we still have like 12 gold right now, while rolling down a bunch. So main reason again is because we didn't triple yet, we don't have that many pairs, and we want to hit the Master Realities. And you might think to yourself, isn't it pretty late now to hit the Master Realities? Like it's already quite some turns in, and we already buffed quite a bit. But well, let's find out. I guess if you find one, you'll see how big it gets in one turn. We're getting some good triples here, but 6 drops don't really matter. Like Lil Rag is okay, but more often than not, it could be bait, because Lil Rag actually isn't that great right now. It's better than a party elemental, I guess, so I could switch those out. But it's not your main objective, finding like the tier 6 elemental scaling, since Gar is removed. Like we only have Genie and Lil Rag on tier 6. I guess a Malgron could count as an elemental if you have like Lil Rag, for example. But we need the tier 4 and 5 stuff more urgently, I would say. And we are super strong. We're finally at the point of like starting to kill people. We finally stabilized. Also, I prefer buffing a Cyclone in first instead of Wildfire. Main reason being, we always gotta open with a unit, right, that gets buffed with the Domo. And people can play Divine Shield Taunt, so our Wildfire can just Pepega and die into a Divine Shield Taunt, while the Cyclone can, well, bump with its shield into it and then kill it. So that's why I prefer buffing a Cyclone first instead of a big Wildfire. Also here, you could like take Genie or Zep, but I take Maxna because, well, at this point, we just kind of want to set up for a late game, because the weakness of elementals is poison. Like, you just have big stats, but you lose pretty hard to poison or to big Divine Shield units. And there is a Master of Reality, so it's a 6-6, right? We just bought it. It's a 6-6. Let's look at the stats. Every elemental we play, it already gets +2/+2 because of the golden party that we have on the board. And the Domo is going to add on top of that at the end of the turn. So let's see how big it gets in one turn. But as I was saying, yeah, we're looking for endgame units by now. It's top 5. This turn, 1 or 2 people might die. And we have a lot of weak units on the board still. This party that I just sold, I had to sell because it was really weak. I played in Max now. I wanted to play safe here. I feel like playing too greedy here is going to result in my death. And this Master Realities 30-30 is going to get a big ass boost to 45-45. So this guy in one turn turned into a 45-45. And we found it rather late. We only have 1 Domo. Just wait until we have a double Domo, or we have more money to work with. We tied against this top guy mainly because we played Max now. We played semi all-in. And as you can see this turn, we have 21 gold. We have like almost twice as much gold than other people can work with. We gotta capitalize on that. And that is why Galley is so busted. You see a time-lapse here of me buffing because, well, guess what? It's gonna take way too long. You gotta play APM Elemental. Sometimes you just gotta turn your brain off and just go. So I had to sell my Max now to get stronger for board space. I couldn't sell my Wildfire yet. It's too big for now. But it's the next thing to go. And the Recycling Wraith is also rather weak. And, well, our Master Realities is 103, 103. And our Cyclone also got buffed to over 100 attack. And now you see how strong we are. This guy, this Rag, just got obliterated. In one turn, we got so insanely strong. It's all about APM now. Just play and play and play, because your rolls cost free. You can buy pretty much every elemental you see, and just play. Try to play as optimally as possible, but the most important thing, same with APM Pirates, is to just get your actions and get the most important things in. You can even take the Selphus here, for example, because you still want to set up for a late game. You don't just want to buff and then lose to a poison. I would still take up endgame units right now, like the Selphus, like tech cards. If I know my opponents play Max, I might take a Ghoul, who knows. Stuff like that. So I'm going to play the Selphus here. I sold the Wildfire finally because my goal next turn is to probably sell a Domo. Again, we have a couple units on the board that do nothing. This Wraith is very small. These double Domos are small. I taunted them with Argus. Also really important to play around Spore. Like if someone opens with Spore Maxna, you would just die on the spot if it's one of your big taunts. But now we can hit the Domo. So if you find an Argus, I would still take it. Taunt like your weakest guys on the board to play a little bit around them opening with poison. And this is the Maligos, by the way, with the Nomi. This guy had a Nomi. Was it a golden Nomi? I don't remember. But it was massively strong, scaling with the early tier 5 stuff. And we outscale it with a Tempo Elemental build on tier 4 or 5. So that is the power of this build. Even if people have insanely good scaling early on, you are able to beat that because of the insane amounts of money that you can generate together with the tools that elementals have. Even Refreshing Anomaly got like nerfed, but that was specifically for Millhouse. Like, we can still make amazing use of it. Millhouse just got a little bit of a hit, but even Millhouse can pull this off successfully still. And other heroes that don't have, well, extra money or things like that. Of course, it's going to be harder, but yeah, you can always high roll. Now, I'm starting to tech. We beat this guy. I put in a Zap and a Ghoul because, well, he's max. He's still 21 HP. And scaling I realize still matters. So I froze for this this snake, and you might ask why. It's because I leveled to tier 6 as well, because yeah, there is McKz. I want to do Reborn McKz. Again, it's just an endgame thing. I have pretty much infinite gold anyway, so might as well try and optimize for the best possible late game. So I went for the Reborn McKz, which ended up not being amazing against this guy. So it really depends on your final opponent. Do you need more stats? Yes, and just cycle. I needed more stats, so I just kept playing things. I keep the Major Domo here because it's valuable. I sold my ghoul because it doesn't matter as much. It's okay, but like I felt like I didn't need it. I rather had my refreshing anomaly still to scale. Again, we can't die. We're at 20 HP. I don't think I would ever die here. So I think if we just get enough stats, we always beat this mech player. This Reborn McKz didn't end up doing shit. It just died into 2 shields, but still, it was better than whatever else I could put there. And he's dead. He is very dead. This is how you play Gallywix Elementals. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you're new here, of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. You guys enjoyed this format last time. I hope you enjoy it this time as well. Thank you for watching and have a good day.